Hello everyone, welcome. So the assignment, and my apologies, I did say I was making a video and I got really busy with this crazy project that I'm working on for Point Park. Where's that? Yeah, so I'm actually working on this project for Point Park. It was something that our students started developing, but for a client, and I got involved with all this. So it's up to us, myself and another faculty member, to develop this project. So it's pretty intense, and so that's where I've been spending too much time. So my apologies. We're going to get to this. So it's like two graphs that we have gone over at this point. Create a story that doesn't have to be a real life situation. Put yourself in the spotlight, so forth. Sell your idea to the client. So what I'm gonna do is I pick some data here, and I'll even share the data with you if you want to utilize it in some sense. That's fine. The graphs can represent a new client, existing client, or a new product that you've developed, say Shark Tank, whatever. Tell a story that you'll be able to represent the graphs that you have in place. Example, what I'm looking for in the lab, and that's what I'm providing, just an example. So we'll start with this. So I have some data here, and the data that I have in place is I was able to capture world indicator data that I capture online for free, and I'll send it to you. As you see here, I'm going to pretend I'm selling this to a new organization that is maybe doing an app that is going to offer an app to people that tells birth rate, life expectancy based off different countries, different cultures. So it's a free app. It's going to be tied into, I'm making this up, it's going to be tied into Ancestry, Ancestry.com, which is a cool app. So it's going to tie into that somehow and work with their data. So what I want to do is provide this data. As you see here, there's tons of different data. Life expectancy, country. There's some data that still hasn't been collected. Energy usage. So it grabs all this information, which is good, and it allows me to create a graph out of it to tell a story. So this is what I'm looking for you to start off with, is identify some data, and like I said, I'll share this with everyone here. So the important thing is I need to create a new dashboard or worksheet or whatever the case is, to allow me to go ahead and maybe I'll call this, I'll call it My Ancestry, if I can spell it right. Roots. All right. So I have a title there, My Roots. Now I need to take some of my data that I have here. So I have my different dimensions. I have my measurements. So it's important to define that early on. I may have talked about this before, but I'll reiterate it. So what are dimensions? So this is something that you hear a lot of times when you're working with data warehouses. It's very common. You'll do that as a software developer. But for the most part, it identifies it's a structure. So think of it as a structure that categorizes facts, so fact information, and measures in order to enable the correct answers per se. So it has fact information. So think of this as all your fact here, and think of all this as measurements that represents, say, the place, time that something happened, like specific indicators from a math perspective. So metrics in a general term is let me think of a good way of describing it is it represents the total number of something. So let's say that we had LinkedIn. For example, on LinkedIn, it always shows you when someone had visited your page, it'll say, Jeff Seaman just viewed your profile. So maybe there's a measurement there that tells you how many, which I think they do have, how many views that you've had on your profile, say within a week, within a quarter, within a month, whatever the case is. This would be your metrics. It could be also the average number or something like the average number of page views. It could be, it could report different dimension values into rows and metric columns. So that's what you get here. And if I've already explained this, fine. If not, I just wanted to kind of throw it out there. All right. So let's say that we were doing this report and we wanted to understand, obviously, country information, which is cool. Look at that. You could do something like this. You could even start off here as well. You could choose, instead of choosing your typical map, this would be kind of like the coronavirus map. This right here spells off something. You're like, hey, this is where I start off with, which talks about the different origins. And as you see here, we can maybe, let's say we wanted to add, what's a good one here that we can, life expectancy is always good. Let's say population of 65 and older. I think that's important. My cat is attacking me while I'm doing this. Oops. All right. So, all right, in Canada, so I added into the map here. You look here in Canada, there's 1.747. So it gives you a kind of a reference percentage of people that are 65 and older. And then you come down here in the United States and you compare the numbers that, well, obviously the United States is a larger, I don't know, actually by mass, I think Canada is larger than the United States. I think that's the fact of it. But the United States has a larger population of individuals, where like New York City, for example, could have as many people as several different areas within Canada. Why is my computer freaking up on me? So anyways, you can use that information. You look down here in these different areas. Like I mentioned, Uruguay, I have a guy I work with in Uruguay, which is a small little country. And look at that, they have a larger population than Canada. What is going on with my screen here? It's like depleting. I'm not sure what's happening. Is it my memory? I don't know. Anyways, Argentina has a small rate, and you can kind of go over here. And you can add more information. So let's say I want to add the total number of decimal of tourism into my map. I could add that information as well. So let's see here. It actually doesn't look like there's anything there. Let's go back to the string value. Whoops. I don't know why my thing is messing up here. All right, and it tells you the amount of money. So not many people go to, I don't know when this data came from, but I'll have to get back over the United States. But let's go down here. Uruguay, not any money. Argentina, $3 billion a year in tourism. So I can see that. So anyways, you can tell your story this way. You create a map. Let's see, let's do this right here. See if that creates that. You could also do it like this, but I like it like that. Oops. I like it like this when it's not all broken up apart. That's what it's trying to do there because I was breaking it down. But I like when you could actually get a better understanding of what you're looking for. Why did it do that? It might be because I took that out. Let me take that out real quick. Yeah, because I had a tourism in, so it blew it up. Now I have 65 and older, and you see where it highlights it. So you can do a bunch of different things here. It was because I did a sum. Let's see here. So now it creates that. Now it creates like a heat map of some sort when you do that. So it breaks it down. I'm not sure why the images are fading out. I don't like that. Let's remove that for now. So there must be a reason why. Anyways. All right. All right. So now we're at just the tourism itself. Yeah, this data is wrong because we have a lot of money in tourism, just in Florida itself with Disney World. All right, so let's say this is our baseline. This is where we start at. Um, we can evaluate. So what's our next steps? We have a graph that represents new clients. So we could say we're looking for a new client. We're representing age, demographics per country. Tell a story that will be able to represent the graphs in place. So this is where you can create a PowerPoint. I'm just going to do the slides. I've gotten so used to Google Slides. Sure, where the heck's it at? I have to sign in. All right, so if I wanted to create a new, you could use one of these templates here. Maybe I use this template right here. I'll say project is tourism. All right, so tourism around the world. And maybe your author is you. I'm not going to go through and write all this out, but just going to give you guys an example. All right, so we have the beginning thing here. So then I'll add a new slide. And maybe I'll create some of these graphs here. Maybe do a screenshot of some of this information. So we'll do this, for example, South America. Yep. And let's see if I can paste this in here. Sure. So I'm going to delete that right there. Oops. All right. I'll put South America. All right. All right. So in this slide right here, just make sure I'm getting all my stuff here. So example, PowerPoint, show graphs, long graph. Okay. Yours is going to be a lot more detailed than mine, but I wanted to at least start off and show you what I'm looking for. So we know that we looked at the data, and we know that, certain areas have certain areas, whatever. So we could say this represents tourism. So by telling this story, let's say that you're selling this to TripAdvisor instead now, because you're talking about tourism, so you're switching gears. TripAdvisor is a very popular site that is based off of us. So we go to TripAdvisor, for example, it's based off of you and I adding information. Let me see if I could add if I remember my account. Yep. Statues, sure, we'll play this game. All right, so it'll come. Okay, so it's TripAdvisor's changed since the last time I've been here, but nonetheless, it's based off of like places that you want to go. So we talked about, I think it was, we'll just say Argentina, for example. There's many places in Argentina that you can go to, so it brings up. Like one of the places is Buenos Aires, Argentina. This is Buenos Aires, and so these are just information. So we can tie this somehow and sell it to whatchamacallit, because we have the data that supports areas that are more populated, areas that are getting money, current status. Here's they're making $2 billion. Argentina's making $3 billion a year. And tourism, how can we increase that number? So maybe you're providing this data to TripAdvisor, and then providing it in their way to enhance people to be more interested in different parts of Argentina, so that they would want to go there and check it out. I mean, Mendoza is on my map. I definitely want to go there. It's amazing. So to me, that's important, that you have that opportunity. So if I was selling this to someone, I would say, hey, in the past 3 to 5 years, Argentina has increased their tourism dollars up to $3 billion a year. So this is what we have provided. We did research based off different websites such as you guys, TripAdvisor, Yelp, and so forth. And we've built a data predictive to understand where people go based off of like what cities they go to more often, what they like to do more often, and provide that as an enhancement to enable certain people. So, for example, let's say that we did our homework and we said that Mendoza was the most visited place in Argentina. So, first thing is we've provided that fact. Now we have the numbers, which would be our measurements here. In this example, we could say how many people per year travel here. Where are they coming from? Like different countries. The idea there is to focus on the lower countries where they're not getting a lot of support from, and figure out why they're not getting that support. Why are they not having individuals come down and visit them? So it's important to understand the facts, and then you present a way, say for TripAdvisor, how to enhance that with the user. So, using social media is a good way to increase someone's interest. Like you and I, and this has happened a million times to me, where you'll be on Facebook or you'll be on, not so much on Instagram as much, but you'll be on Facebook and all of a sudden ad pops up and you're like, hey, I was just talking about going here. Is that a sign? Well, that's what they want you to think it's a sign, but they're listening to you. So if you're able to collaborate all this information and provide it to the client and say, hey, with our data background and our marketing skill set and that includes search engine marketing and our software developers, we're able to work together and define a way to present this model to the user so that he or she will be interested. And then what you can do is when you're presenting this, you could say, this is what we want, okay? And then you could pretend and then put some after results and say, hey, over the past 3 to 6 months, this is what we discovered. We've taken what we talked about in the first part of the demo as what we can do is you're providing a before and after, and you're also providing a baseline. So your baseline is, hey, they're doing $3 billion in sales in tourism, and your baseline includes, let's just say the United States is the lowest country. So then you define that the lowest city is, you're finding that more often people from New York City, Los Angeles, and Chicago are more frequent to travel to Argentina, but people that live in Pittsburgh, Kansas, Wichita, Kansas, maybe Omaha, Nebraska, or let's say like Keystone, South Dakota. Those areas are unlikely to travel, maybe because Keystone has Mount Rushmore, and that's their place, and they don't want to travel. Well, then that's where you focus on your traffic. You focus on putting ads in that area. You focus on working with social media to define a region where you want to put that information. You track it, you monitor it. You get people to go out to websites. You could do a number of things, but you tell your client what you're expecting to do and what you did do, and say, hey, since we did this in the past 3 to 6 months, we've noticed that Argentina's tourism value has increased. They were an average in those 3 months from, say, June to August, they averaged typically $500 million in sales. But since we've put our algorithm to the works, they've now increased sales up to $1.5 million. So it went from $500,000 to, what did I say, $1 million? We'll say I rewind what I said originally. We'll say that it's, within those 3 months, it's like 500,000 based off of those cities that we talked about that less travel. Now, since you've put your math together, you've noticed that more people from Keystone and Nebraska are traveling to South Dakota, and it has increased the volume up to from $500,000 to 1.5 million. So you increased it by $1 million, but you still have problems where the other areas, Kansas and Pittsburgh, are not traveling. So you have to identify gaps and reasons why it's not doing it, and you provide that. So in a nutshell, that's kind of what I'm looking for you to present. I'm looking for you to grab some data. I'll throw this data out here. There's so many places out there that you could get free data without you having to input all this stuff into a database, and use that data and tell your story. It's important to tell a good story, because if you tell a good story, you're more likely to get that person to move to the next level where you want them to go. You could kind of drive this this path. You could drive this vehicle the way that you want to drive it, if that makes sense. So PowerPoint, show the graphs, tell the story. Please use software allows you to record your session, just like what I'm doing right now. If you have a Mac, I'm using something called, don't even know offhand, ScreenFlow. It does cost, I think, $80, but it's a pretty good product. If you're using a Mac, it's worth it. And you get all the free upgrades and so forth. And like I said, I'll give you guys an extra day on Monday for this to be due. I know, I apologize, this should have been out sooner, but you seen what I was busy doing, so my apologies. So go through this. I'm going to Mod 5 right now, and I have a lab here. So after I'm done with this video, I'll post a video. I'm actually going to post that data right now. I'm thinking about it, so let's do that while I got you here. So add file, data. Let me find my data. Where is it at? What is it? Downloads. Let's see, where was it at? All right. Oh, there you are, MBA. And supplement files. I have a lot of stuff out here. Moral indicators. Attach. All right, there you go. So there is your data example. I guess I'm gonna create a folder for that. So we'll do that. So that way it makes sense what the heck this is for. And we'll just move that over there. Maybe. There we go. All right. So now that data is in there, I am going to post this video here shortly on YouTube and then push the link out there, and that's it. So hopefully this is a good little basis analysis to give you an example of what I'm looking for. Hopefully I provide enough information. If I did not provide enough information, please reach out to me on Slack. Please reach out to me in email. If you send me an email here, I don't check it that often, so just send me a direct email at jcmin@pointpark.edu. It's a little bit easier for me to get back to you quicker. And here it's a little bit more difficult from my phone. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Good luck. Be safe. Have a good day. Bye.